So I'm gonna drop this before Pokemon Day because I almost actually forgot to make this one. But we haven't gotten any news yet outside of the announcement, obviously, about Legends ZA. Now, recently they dropped a Switch 2 trailer. If you haven't seen, that's pretty dope. And we're gonna get more news about that on April 2nd, which I'm excited about. As an owner of two Switches, I think it's pretty great. Regardless, Legends ZA is coming out, preferably before then, but I could see it being either a launch title or something that's gonna come out a bit later in the year. And there's been some rumors, and those were the huge like Game Freak League that we had last year. But interestingly enough, with the ZA stuff, is there has been rumored to have more Mega Evolutions. Now, Mega Evolutions is my least favorite of the battle gimmicks, and the only reason it's my least favorite of them is because I feel like none of the new Pokemon got anything with it. Every Mega Evolution was for a Gen 1 Pokemon or a Gen 3 Pokemon or a random Gen 5 Pokemon or something like that, right? It wasn't for anything in Gen 6 outside of Diancie, which was a mythical, so it's not like everyone had Mega Diancie to run around with. And even if you did, you couldn't use her in competitive because mythicals have only ever been available to be used in one format in which Megas were not allowed because that was Gen 8. So Diancie didn't even get her chance to shine then. Now, technically, if you want to count Power Constrict Zygarde when he's under 50% HP as a Mega Evolution, that's fine. I count that as Mega Zygarde in my eyes. But we really didn't get Megas for any of the Pokemon in Gen 6. And I do feel like that was a missed opportunity. Now, there's been some reasons for that. I apparently Gen 5 came out and a lot of people were complaining because of lack of older representation in Pokemon games, which is why when Gen 6 came out, it was mainly just, oh, look, Gen 1, look at all these Gen 1 Pokemon, look at the Mega forms we gave them. Oh, Lucario has a Mega, you like Lucario, right? Stuff like that. But I really do wish we had a chance to see Gen 6 get some new Pokemon, especially because it had one of the smaller Pokedexes to like upon entry. And there's some Pokemon in Gen 6 that I feel like just didn't have like much going for them, right? Think Gudra. Gudra being the worst pseudo legendary. So bad, in fact, they gave it a Hisuian Gudra. He gave it the regional alt, and that one's fine, right? Like Gudra's nothing special. There's also some other Pokemon that are very forgettable, like Barbarical. I think that would have been cool to have a Mega. Maybe something like Cloudlitzer, Mega Cloudlitzer, where he has an even bigger gun. That would have been cool. We could have also had some good stuff like Mega Klefki. I don't think Klefki needed a mega. That thing was annoying, but it could have had one, and that's the point that I'm trying to make here. But more impressively, I think it would have been nice to give the starters megas. Now they desperately wanted to give Greninja a mega. You could tell that because they made Ash Greninja and they put it in the game. They said, "Here's Mega Greninja, man. It's different, guys. It's not Mega. It says Ash Greninja on it. It's Mega Greninja. It gives it a stat boost. It changes stats around like a Mega does. It's a Mega. I feel like they wanted to do this desperately for all three of them, but since Greninja was the most popular one, it got the Mega treatment. But the other two, Delphox and Chestnut, they just kind of exist. And I wish they had a chance to shine as much as Greninja did. Um, and I feel like a Mega would have done that for them. So I'm hoping that when Legends ZA comes out, we do get megas of those three. Maybe Mega Greninja is just Ash Greninja. So that way they can bring it back. They're taking away my glory. But regardless, they could do that. They give Mega Delphox, give Delphox a reason to shine. Same with Chestnut. But more interestingly, I want to talk about some things I do want to see in Legends ZA. I know there's been like that, like I said, a huge Game Freak League where they talked about maybe a Mega Zero Aura, which is very funny if they do that. But I really want to see megas of like some of the fossils, right? We have Mega Arrow, right? That's cool. I want to see Mega Aurorus. Aurorus is my favorite fossil Pokemon. It's also a Gen 6 fossil Pokemon. So I think that and Tyrantrum could get some deserving Megas. I think that would be nice for them. I feel like giving Megas to like Bunnelby would be interesting. I don't think Bunnelby needs it. Maybe like Pyroar. Pyroar is very underwhelming. Maybe give Mega Pyroar or something. And they can make the two Pyroar forms look different. Heliolisk is a Pokemon that's very interesting. I like its typing being normal electric. It's very unique. I like its ability to have access to Hyper Voice. I think I had a lot of fun spamming that. And I think Parabolic Charge is funny. I think that's another reason to give it a Mega. Some other things I'd like to see get a Mega would be some of the forgotten mythicals from that gen. Because of how Volcanion was treated, it's is very interesting because Volcanion was in the Bagheera movie, yet it was technically a Gen 6 Pokemon. So it's weird how that was a very weird, that was a very interesting era because Hoopa was also Gen 6. Hoopa did come out in Gen 6, right? It did come out in Auras for sure. I think Hoopa doesn't need a Mega because it has the whole like Unbound form, right? But Volcanion was a Gen 6 Pokemon. Didn't get a movie until Gen 7 stuff was in it because of the Beginner stuff. And Volcanion gets no love whatsoever. And it'd be nice to have a Mega Volcanion, perhaps. But there's some things I want to talk about. New forms for Pokemon. If we continue with the Legends treatment where we get new regional forms for starters, um, give my boy, here's some boys. I'm going to give you some best boys. Pokemon, I feel like, need a regional variant. They don't need it. I just want them to have it. We're not going to touch the starters that have megas because I do feel like that's a little dicey. And the reason I say it's a little dicey is because if this is bringing back mega evolutions, and I pick a Pokemon like Sceptile, right? Then is there going to be two Mega Sceptiles? One for the Hisui, not the Hisui, and the Colonian Sceptile, and then one for the Hoennian Sceptile. Would that be how you say it? Hoennian? Hoennian? Original Sceptile. OG. Anyway, would it need to be two for that? And I know there's a lot of like, oh, Charizard has two megas, and that's like that's cool. He does, and it's annoying. I hate that he has two megas. Same for Mewtwo. I actually despise the fact that they both have two. And the only reason I despise the fact they both have two is because that's two mega slots that could have been given to anything else. Imagine if instead of Mewtwo getting two megas, there was a Mega Mew, and instead of Charizard getting two megas, we got a Mega Raichu because Raichu needs something. But you can't give Raichu a Mega now because there's two Raichus because of the regional variant. And that's why I think it gets a little dicey. We have not seen a regional variant of a Pokemon that has a mega evolution yet, to my knowledge. And because of that, when I pick these Pokemon that I want to get Colonian forms, I'm going to pick starters that don't have megas. So unfortunately, Gen 1 won't be picked, Gen 3 won't be picked. Um, I'm not going to pick any of the starters for Gen 6 because the Hisuian Dex did not have you start with the starters for Gen 4, even though technically Hisui is sent out in the past. So the starters that I'm going to pick are going to be I'm going to pick a Gen 2 because they have no love. We're not going to. We've already done Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil has Typhlosion. I want to pick Meganium for the grass. I think Meganium's very funny. I like Meganium. Um, I shit on this design a lot because I think it looks a little goofy, but this would be a chance to change it and maybe give it secondary typing. I do feel like that's a thing that held back the the Johto starters was the fact that they have no secondary stab, and some Pokemon can get away with it. Some Pokemon don't need a secondary stab if your name is specifically Cinderace or Rillaboom, right? But some Pokemon do. It's just nice to have. It does help with like type matchups and coverage. Sometimes being a single type is very good. I mean, fire defensively is fine. Grass defensively is really good, so the Rillaboom having this pure grass is great. But sometimes, especially if you're not a good defensive Pokemon, Meganium, if you're not good defensively and you're not the great offensively, if you're kind of middle of the road, which makes sense for these Pokemon because they came when they came out, it's just better you have dual. It's kind of why uh, Oshawott got Hisuian Samurott, and the Samurott is really good now. At least the Hisuian one is good. So I'm really thinking that we can give Meganium something. A lot of people say maybe Grass Fairy, and I think that's a very good typing for Meganium. But I think that's because they're scared to give starters to Dragon typing off rip. And I would like to see Grass Dragon maybe for Meganium because it does kind of look like a dinosaur, and I think dinosaur very equivalates with dragon in my eyes. But fairy type could be very interesting. It is based off plants. I think plants are great, and so I think that would be very cool. So I think Meganium could take the grass start a starter position for water. I'd like to see Empoleon. Not that I think Empoleon's bad. Shout out to Empoleon being the only water steel type in the game still. But I think it'll be cool. I think Empoleon fits the theme of Kalos. I understand that this is why people pick Superior because he fits the theme, but I think Meganium needs more love than Superior. Superior is actually pretty decent mon, was contrary and stuff. But Empoleon, I think, would be interesting to have. It would be cool. Maybe something of a less regal penguin and more of a emperor penguin. I guess it is an emperor penguin, right? It's Empoleon. But emperor penguins look more gruff. And so maybe it could be something where it's like a water fighting type. That would be interesting. Give it access to close combat, which I think it already gets. Maybe even a new move. It'd be interesting. Some kind of water type attack. Maybe it could still have like, oh, it can give it the steelworker ability. Wasn't it Domize's ability, where it gets stab off steel type moves, even though it's not a steel type? That would be interesting. Kind of give it to three stabs. We have a few Pokemon with that. That'd be interesting to have. And for the fire starter, a lot of people were saying Cinderace because it looks like, I mean, it's a soccer player, so it's like kind of fits the theme of Kalos. And I think Cinderace is a solid pick. Um, but I want to go with Embor. I think Embor is very good. At least the shiny is. Design wise, I don't like Embor too much. I like the shiny. I think the shiny is really good. I do like Tepig. I don't care for Pignata Embor. So I would like to see maybe a new form of Embor that's a little different. Maybe make it a ground type. A fire ground would be very interesting. I feel like we don't have a like super offensive fire ground. All of our fire grounds tend to be on the defensive side. If you look at like what's his name, Campera, is pretty defensive oriented. Is that the only one? I have like Primal Groudon's offensive, but like they took away Primal Reversion, so we don't have it. But yeah, it'll be interesting if it makes it kind of different. So instead of it being like a bulky, like sumo wrestler, they could go the other route and make it like a slender, like Muay Thai fighter, like closer to the ground. So they can make it like a speedy, offensive, fire ground type. I think that'd be very interesting. Now, there's one other thing I want to talk about. We got a surprise introduction with Enamorus in the last Legends game. So we had the forces of nature, that being Tornadus, Thunderous, and Landorus, my boy Landorus. And they introduced the fourth force of nature, which makes sense because the other three were based off seasons. So there's four seasons and there's only three Pokemon. So it made sense to introduce the fourth one for Enamorus. And while Enamorus isn't like groundbreaking or doing anything wild, it is nice to just have a new introduction, like a new, just full legendary. And I do think it will be interesting if we got that again. Now, there's a couple of things with that. It's like, okay, so what would we add to any of these? Because a lot of these trios feel complete. I don't think we need a new legendary bird, for example. I think Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno are insanely good. They also have Galarian forms, and I do feel like it would be unfair to introduce a fourth member to that trio and then say, oh, they don't have a Galarian form, haha. So I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's worth touching Suicune, Entei, or Raikou because they just did. We just got Raging Bolt, Walking Wake, and Gouging Fire. And so it'd be interesting to have a new fourth one hit that one, but not give them a Paradox. You know what I'm saying? For Gen 3, we had the Reggies, and Reggies get new Reggies all the time. We just had two more Reggies added in Gen 8. And while I won't be mad if we got a new Reggie, I don't think we need one. I think we're good on that. We don't need another Reggie. Um, for Gen 4, we have the Lake Trio. There's no point in touching that. Gen 5, they have already touched, but they could touch it again. Because the Swords of Justice, while there are four members technically, since one is a mythical, technically you could touch them and add a fourth. You could add a fourth to it. You could add, some other blank fighting. Now, also, here's the thing with that. They also just got touched as well. We have Iron Crown, Iron Boulder, and Iron Leaves. So maybe not. But more importantly, I just want to see them add some more to the Kalos dex. I feel like that dex is very small and it's missing out. Like, I don't think they should add a new Tapu. There'd be no point in adding a fifth Tapu. I won't be mad. But there's no point in it because the Tapu's whole thing is terrain. It's only four terrains. So it makes sense not to add another Tapu to that. But I do feel like if they were to add another Pokemon, it would have to be for something in Kalos. Because Kalos, historically, has no trio or quartet alongside it. I mean, neither does Galar, right? Like, Galar also doesn't. But Kalos was the first one to kind of not do that, especially because Gen 7, they were back, right? They had the Tapus on the islands. For Kalos, all you really have for legendaries slash mythical Pokemon in your decks are the box legends of Xerneas, Yveltal. They had Zygarde, they had Diancie, Hoopa, and Volcania. I think that's like it. So it's one of those things where it's like they didn't have just like legendaries that kind of roamed, unless you count the Moses Atos Articuno, but like we can throw them in every game, right? They don't really make a difference. So it'll be interesting to maybe see they get something. Maybe we get a new trio of legendaries, and it'd be very interesting because Kalos has a lot of history attached to it, and with the war and all that. So maybe there could be three Pokemon that fought in the war. And I think that'd be very interesting. Maybe they're like sidekicks to the box legends. Maybe like one of them's a apprentice of Xerneas, so it's like uh you know a deer of sorts, and it's part fairy type, and it's like one that's like a bird of sorts, and it's part dark type, or and it's supposed to go alongside Yveltal, and it's one that's like part ground type, and it's like supposed to go alongside Zygarde. I think that'd be interesting. That'd be very fun. We could do something like that. As for new regional variants of Pokemon, I would. Oh man, there's so many I'd like to see. I would like to see original form of Kecleon, and I know that's weird. I know that's extremely weird because Kecleon's whole thing is color change. Um, Maybe not a regional form, maybe just an evolution, kind of like we got with Weird Ear. I do think Weird Ear is very fun. Do I think Weird Ear is good? No, but I do like the amount of life it gives to Stantler, because Stantler was never like a great Pokemon. But if you're a Stantler fan, you're winning because now if you're running Stantler still, you can give it Eviolite. It now tanks things better. You can evolve it to Weird Ear. Weird Ear's not a terrible Pokemon. You could use it in certain situations. I do feel like that's nice, giving Pokemon a place to just breathe. I do like how they've been doing it with regional forms having their own evolutions. I do think something like Berserker was a good idea because it gave breath to other Pokemon, like Sneasler. I do think that's fun. So maybe we could give like a new form to, I don't know, Hoot Hoot. Hoot Hoot would be nice, and we can get a different kind of Noctowl. Maybe just a regional Noctowl. Maybe I just like Noctowl. That'll be interesting. But more importantly, I guess we could touch other Pokemon that just never had a chance to shine in past generations. Something like a Alomola or Audino. Audino would be very funny. It's very great when they first showed Indeedee and we didn't know the name yet. I just thought that was a regional Audino. I thought it was, um, but no, we could have a Pokemon like that where it's just we can take it and evolve it. Some Pokemon I'd like to see is Ledian. Uh, at this point, we don't give Ledian a regional form. We give it an evolution because Ledian sucks. The Ledian video is coming, guys. I swear. But, so we could do something like that. We could just. There's so much they could do, and there's so much I would like to see. Um, Regional forms of newer Pokemon, I guess. I would like to see a regional form of Stonejourner, as that'd be very funny. Because in my head, Galar isn't far from Kalos, and the reason I say that is because they're both based on like UK. Like one's based off France, one's based off like just a general of UK. So I think they're very close in my mind. It'd be very funny if Stonejourner has a slightly different look, slightly down the road. I think that'd be very interesting. So I think it'd be very interesting to do that. They could do regional forms of like brand new Pokemon if they wanted to. They could do something like a regional form of the Pepper. What's his name? Caspa Kid. And I think that'd be very funny. I would also like to see a regional form of Komala at some point. I know koalas don't really live in France, but that's not the point. The point is I like Komala, and it'd be cool if if it was in France. I don't know. There's a lot they could do with it here. A lot of Pokemon like to see regional forms of. A lot of new Pokemon like to see. For example, I wasn't expecting Cleavor to exist, and I think that's a very good idea. Taking Scyther, and giving it another evolution that's not Scizor, I think is very fun. I think what they did with Ursaluna is very good. Oh, it's annoying to evolve it, by the way, but it's like you gave Ursaring a Pokemon just an evolution. Same with like King Gambit they did in Gen 9. So I think it'd be fun. Just go back, give some like two stages, like a third stage. They obviously can't touch the moneymakers. Like they can't touch Lucario because they'd have to give a mega to that form's evolution. But they could do something where they could touch like maybe give what's the name of that? Oh, that cactus. Cacturn. Give Cacturn like an evolution. That'd be fun. We could give and I can't remember Sharpedo. Can't touch those. We could give like Mighty Anna an evolution. I like Mighty Anna. Maybe make it like a dark fairy type or something. They didn't give it to Absol. They did not give Dark Fairy to Absol, so they have to give it to something. Uh, I guess Grimstar and Mighty Anna could make the two good uses for that one. Anyway, that's gonna be me rambling about what I want to see in a Legends ZA. If you plan on picking up Legends ZA, let me know. It's gonna be very interesting. If you have anything you want to see, any starters you want to see, get cool forms, or if there's any Pokemon you want to see get a Mega Evolution, and at this point be wacky with it. Like if I had a Fever Dream Mega Evolution, I want to see like Mega Lugia. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm not sure what they do with it, but I don't think that matters. I just want to see Lugia be big. I think that'd be very cool. Another Mega I think would be very interesting. It would be Oh man, can we give Mega Regigigas? Because like, hear me out. Yeah, hear me out. He made the other Reggies. He could just make himself a Megastone. Like lore wise, this makes sense. If he can make living golems out of pure matter, why can't he make a Megastone? Maybe he'll move faster for once. That's what took him so long. Actually, he is making a Megastone. He just has a slow start. Anyway, like I said, if you have any thing you want to say about Legends ZA that's coming out that you're interested in, let me know. If you forgot Legends ZA was coming for some reason, also tell me below. Like I said, if there's any Pokemon you want to see specifically, let me know what you want to see, what you want to see from that Pokemon. Do you have a favorite Pokemon? Mine is Absol. Bring back the boy. Uh, anyway, that's going to be it for today. Have yourself a damn good one.